video is brought to you by Letsynthesize Academy, the #1 place for practice-oriented courses for serious music producers.
Hey, Dan Larson here, welcome to the newest Synthesize Sunday episode, and today I want to show you how to use layers like noise layers and whatever layers on your Tearout productions to make them really fat and wide and awesome like this. Okay, so if you want to download the noises that we are talking about today, click my Patreon and click here if you want to see how I build up this track from scratch on Letsynthesize Academy. But right now, let's jump into it. Alright, so this is the thing without the layers. Pretty boring and narrow, so it has no interest in wideness, nothing really. But with the layers, so it's a lot cooler because you hear lots of different little noises, little sounds that makes the whole thing a lot more interesting. So this is why I like this thing. So let me break down what I added for this thing. But once again, if you are interested in how I made this thing with complex FM and lots of very cool techniques, click here. So the first layer is a so-called Aliphone noise. The second one is a metallic noise. Now, if you want to add your own samples, like, I don't know, like chain noises or whatever metallic kind of things using granular synthesis, you can do that, of course. But I wanted to keep everything in one synth, or I want to synthesize stuff. So this is the metallic noise that I added. Okay, then I wanted to add a so-called bark bass that really just stays in the background, but I think it adds a nice touch to it. You can take it as a layer on a snare or whatever. I really like this. And I also added a clang. I synthesized this thing in Operator, and also if you are curious how I made it, you can check it in the Tearout course that you can find here. Alright, so the Aliphone noise is very simple. So let me show it to you. If I solo it, it has some very nice lasery kind of sound, pew, pew. But it's very simple. I think I use one saw wave, a frequency modulated with a sine wave. As you can see, 7 semitones higher. I'm not sure why this sub is here. Oh, because I use it as an FM modulator on oscillator B. Aliphone 1 modulates the pitch of oscillator A and the filter, low pass filter. As you can hear, the low pass filter creates basically the wobble and alright, I added a delay, a hyper, OTT and a high pass filter movement, because without the high pass we have so much unwanted frequencies. Oh, we don't want that. It will just make the sound too muddy. So you really need to clean up your sounds. Let me show it to you in the context without the HP filter. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but it messes up the kick. So you definitely want to use a high pass and an EQ. Because again, the mid frequencies are a little too much, so at around 500 Hz. I have another Aliphone that basically controls the Aliphone rate, so Aliphone 1 rate. So I wanted to have not a static Aliphone, but a dropping Aliphone, like so this is how in the matrix you can see Aliphone 2 controls the Aliphone rate. So it basically changes the speed during the modulation of Aliphone 1. So this is a really cool thing in Serum. And I'm also using envelope 2 on the high pass filter and on the FM from sub on oscillator B. So this is all here. It's a very simple sound, as you can hear, and adds a lot to the groove. Okay, let's see the metallic noise. I'm just soloing it. Alright, So as you can see, I focus the whole thing on the really high frequencies because this is a noise. And again, it's very simple. I used a custom noise. It's called huge chain, whatever. Let me show it to you. So this was it. But what I did to it is I use as a modulator, as an FM modulator on oscillator B, that is a BSOD square. So this is all. Of course, dropping down the pitch, so it's a lot longer and lower in frequency. But with FM, it makes a great job. So I added a hyper dimension, a compressor, a distortion, no filtering, ring modulation filter. Now, actually, this is important because it adds a little more noisy character to it. Okay, and another EQ. And the chorus. All these effects are very subtle, but altogether they make the sound, I guess. Okay, let's make the bark sound. Okay, now as you can see, we have lots of effects here. 2 choruses and the reverb on 100% wet. And this is because I wanted to have a washed out kind of sound, so not like a synth or a bass. So without them, this is the pure sound, and without the delay, it's just very short. And with the saturation and the EQ, I basically shape the sound to its final form. But, you know, these are very important if you want to have a washed out thing. Now, the bass itself looks like this. I have the distortion formant, rounded saw phase, custom wavetables, but with the distortion comp, it's so cool. This filter is so cool, I love it. Let me again disable the effect. And also the EQ. I love this comp filter with built-in distortion. This is such a cool thing. Okay, so the band mode is activated only on the oscillator, so no unison voices. And a noise wave. I think it is a custom sound, but you know, you can use whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that it does is basically just a little tops, a little more high frequency on the tops. The sub, but it's again not very important. Now, hyperdimension and distortion, because the bandpass filter focuses the sound a little more on the mid-low frequencies. Very subtle difference, but again, I think it's cool. A flanger, phaser. Well, I think we can disable the phaser, the octity, and the bench track filter. That adds some more gain and more meat to the whole sound, and an EQ to get rid of the mid and mid-bass frequencies, so this will make the sound a little more evil. Anyway, so this is the sound. We have some modulators here, Aliphone, like Aliphone 4 modulates the EQ frequency. This one modulates a lot of stuff like the sub oscillator, the EQ, the other one, the distortion one, the FX filter frequency and variation, so these two guys. Aliphone 2 modulates the warping modes on the oscillators. And this one, the main filter cutoff, the distortion frequency cutoff, the flanger and the phaser depth. So as you can see, there is a lot of modulation is going on here, but maybe some of them are not very important. So this is a cool sound too. Let's see. I don't think Aliphone 2 is necessary or is too important here. Yeah, so these are subtle changes, but at the end, this is a cool sound, especially with those lots of effects that wash out the sound. Okay, now the clang is basically my favorite because it is pure FM made in operator. So there is a transient and there is the clang again in operator. And if you are curious how I made these clangs, just click here for the Tearout masterclass on Letsynthesize Academy. So altogether, as you can see, we used lots of different noises, like a lasery kind of thing, noises, barks, clangs, and they make a really nice job on this little clip. Okay, this was it. I hope you liked it. So if you are interested in noises, go to my Patreon and go to Letsynthesize Academy here if you want to see how I built this track up from scratch. And see you guys next time. Peace.